In today's analysis, is racing backwards a good thing rather than just focusing on what's going on in front of you? Is it a little bit of hazing going on with Deegan versus the rest of the field? Is there something going on with Tomac? Well, we will go over all of that along with some sick lines from some of the world's best riders. And first off, we will highlight this guy, number 38 on the 450, which we won't see another 450 of him until the summer, which is a big bummer. But anyway, he is going to shift third and then instantly wheelie in like almost every single start. And was there potentially some hazing going on into the first corner or just all weekend long because of the 450 guys? He comes in there and he is basically got the whole shot, right? He is the first guy there. A lot of guys are piling up on the inside, but a lot of other individuals want to just push Hayden wide and kind of take him over the berm and just allow everybody to come onto the inside of him. So here he goes, gets pushed, and I think that's Tixier that ends up pushing him, and Roxon falls in, and he's way in the back behind everybody. Not the best start. And here's another one. Pay attention. Race number 2 does the same thing. Hits third, shifts again, wheelies, looks over. And honestly, anytime a motorcycle wheelies, you have to let off the gas or you have to grab that clutch to get the motorcycle to lower itself down. And that's kind of what happens. So he gets in there. He is first in there, and look at his teammate. Teammate kind of gives him some room, but he ends up getting pinched off yet again. And somehow he comes out the last race with an even bigger wheelie. Okay, that right there was pretty dang impressive. That is massive. You got Kenny's getting pinched off. Tomac is just out front on the KTM. And something about that Star Yamaha, super fast. Okay, he gets in there, and what does he do? Well, the first thing he does is, opposed to just drifting wide so that everyone can block him underneath, he ends up doing a nice little brake slide to get this motorcycle to start pointing directly at the next section here, which is boom. And Tomac has to kind of check up. And I get the notion that these two individuals have got a lot of respect for each other. Deegan is one of the only guys that's ever been to Tomac's compound and been able to ride with him. Tomac could have easily pushed this guy wide and taken that line from him, which he's done many times to other guys, but he ends up checking up. That's the first time tonight that he checked up for Deegan and let Deegan get a fairly decent start. And we're speaking of the racecraft of this individual. This is where we're going to get into him looking forward, looking back. Watch what he does here. Jason Anderson is behind him. He's looking over at Tixier. He looks over twice, okay? So in real time here, watch what happens. He's going to look over once, twice, and instantly just zoom. And I thought that was really good racecraft, was to instantly try to cover the inside, because he's in front of him, but he's trying to prevent himself from getting tattooed by this guy. That happened the first start, where he's had some guys just almost push him completely off the track. So it makes sense for him to dive down to the inside. And he got into it with Joey Savacci and Jason Anderson a bunch here, but this was great. Looks over at him, does the same thing. These guys are playing head games with each other. Joey's going to try to block him and slow him down here, where Deegan's going to try to go to the inside, and it ends up being that Deegan had the better line. And what I like about Deegan is, as opposed to just curling around, he ends up going more to the outside, okay, which is nice because he lets that motorcycle not instantly just spin out from underneath him. And again, okay, we talk a lot about on this channel body positioning and how, he has the majority of his butt on top of the motorcycle. So what he's doing is he's weighting that outside peg. Yes, here's the foot peg. He's not on his heels, he's on his toes, and it puts a lot of pressure here by having the majority of his weight on the outside, okay? Because he could have easily, If his butt was centered and his back was more like this, instant washout. And he wouldn't be able to continue racing with Joey here. So what he does, slides out a little bit, but not too horribly bad. And what ends up happening is he looks over, okay, looks at him again, and this is where it gets interesting because he literally slows down and just we're going to break you. I know you tried to take me over the berm, but here, now I'm just going to slow you down. And anybody that says that wasn't slowing down, let's watch that again. Looks over, just coasts in there, takes the line. Joey's trying to set him up on the inside, and this is where Deegan isn't completely racing forward. He's racing behind himself because I don't know if he's worried these guys are going to take him out. Well, I'm pretty sure he's worried that these guys are going to take him out. And he does have a big target on his back. I mean, it's Deegan. He's created the persona and everything from 250s, moving up to 450s. You got a big target on your back. I mean, we saw what happened with the Alessi brothers, where I don't even remember what the t-shirts say, what is like the hype, something about the hype, and ended up not working out too well. Deegan has been following up with the hype. So he goes to the inside, boom, and cases it, and almost takes out Joey. Okay. Major mistake because he's not looking forward. He's racing behind him. He's playing some mind games with these guys. He ends up cutting down and hitting this jump not fully around the berm, cases it, boom, and Joey almost takes it in the rear, at least that blue number plate. And here, next corner, Deegan comes in super hot. And again, you have Joey now playing the other game where he's expecting Deegan to come around here and block him. Well, what does Deegan do? He stops at the beginning and he squares it up, trying to get underneath him, and almost takes himself out because he ends up hitting the rear tire of Joey's bike and somehow, doesn't fall down. I mean, that's within inches, and ends up then getting around him. And then here, over jumps a triple and almost is a quad. Look at him here. Boom. And that's when you have the rest of the field when it comes to Tomac and Jason right on their heels, because he's going to look over again to see, somebody's on my outside, got to try to block, looks over twice, but makes that big mistake by casing that quad. And here, looks again over at Jason. Holds them all up. Looks to the inside before the whoops to try to cover his line because he's expecting somebody to come in and tattoo his ass to the ground. Here, right after the whoops, looks over again. He is focusing on what's going on behind him rather than just pushing forward. But to be fair, it seemed like all those guys had it out to try to do the same sort of tactics as him. And this was a different look at what happened. FIM had this on their Instagram where he just comes in, you see his head. Okay, he looks over. This is the biggest thing, is he's aware of everybody. He's coming in hot, and he's, again, worried that these guys are going to take him out. So he doesn't want to give them any room. And the irony is he comes in here super hot, and because how slippery the dirt is, just washes that front end. Kind of a bummer how it ended, but still fairly exciting to say the least. And this shows you that this guy is here to race and make a name for himself in the 450 class. And if he continues to get away with this stuff where he can pass guys and just run away from them, he won't have to look back anymore because they're just going to let him go. They're not going to try to come in and kamikaze it to get back around him. I will say, though, with him racing with Tomac is, look at this. Tomac, to me, almost slows down. They didn't have this on the coverage, which was kind of bummer. I do think they need to have cameras on some of the best guys. When you only have a few guys that are high-profile, two-wheeled knuckleheads, you got to have cameras on them at all times. Well, you have Tomac on the outside. He stops here, and Deegan's on the inside, and it's almost like he just checks up and lets Deegan go underneath him. That, to me, just looked real slow. He just gave it to him. Lands, slows down. Deegan just takes the line from him and is totally okay with it. That's the amount of respect Tomac has for, I would say, the little shit, because, he's 19 and Tomac is in his 30s. But right there, that looked as if he just let him by. And Deegan took it, didn't have to run him off the track. Maybe it was Joey. He might have tried to continue to run him off the track. But next, pay attention to Tomac right here on this triple. Okay, this triple, there's so much just like silt on this track that these guys were really having a hard time. You know, it's one of those tracks where you had to slow down to go fast. But he ends up coming off way on the outside where there's all this just not packed in dirt. And I don't know if it's because of that paddle tire that he always runs. I don't know for certain if he was running the paddle tire there, but watch what it does to him off the triple. Phew. He ends up casing it. Boom. And that's enough for you to start thinking, oh, crap. Because what happens? Jumps in here, comes in, and just loops out. But why did he loop out? Probably because he was paying attention to what was going on here. Because if we watch, comes off, and you can see the smoke here just off on that silt there. But if we look at the next corner, and we're talking about weighting the outside peg, if you pay attention to where his body is, okay, he is straight with that motorcycle. He's not weighting the outside peg like Deegan was, where you have half your ass cheek on the outside. So therefore, when that front end pushes, okay, the body ends up going down with the motorcycle. But he ends up sticking his foot down, and he's able to just do this quick little loop around where he ends up not crashing, but just takes a nice little detour, 180, which was interesting. But here, and the biggest line at World Supercross was the rhythm section before the triple, where they ended up quadding into that corner, and it's just a 180, so it's something I just wanted to somewhat show. But this was something that I really liked what Tomac was doing, is this section right after the start. We know how slippery it was. Most guys were coming in trying to go here. Tomac is drifting way wide, okay? He is making sure that he is not going to spin out, and this was prior to his first little spin out, but he goes wide, and yeah, he gives up the line to Roczen, but he would have just spun out if he would have been on the inside. And why I say this is when you have Craig get around him, watch what Craig does. Slide, just instant slip, and it didn't work for him. If we pay attention to the whoops, Roczen's bike looks so just centered and straight, where Tomac's bike, it starts to jump kind of side to side, do. And these whoops are very silty, right? They're very slippery. But if you pay attention to Roczen's motorcycle, okay, it's very just arrow. He's got a very good setup, even though he taps these tough blocks, which I like these tough blocks because look, boom, just explodes the tough block. How is that even possible? I want to see guys land on these tough blocks to see if they're actually any worth a damn, because will it help you? Or will it save you? I don't know, because the way he explodes it, boom, just goes off there, just gets checked out. While Tomac is spinning side to side, Roczen's setup is really just, it's on point. And so that motorcycle, I think he's got an advantage over Tomac for the first couple Supercrosses. Tomac is needing to do a lot of testing. He can do it. He's fast, but he has his work cut out when it comes to getting a perfect setup for 2026 Supercross. And in closing, watch Deegan with that cable clutch. He starts adjusting every lap. That cable clutch, he's not using the hydraulic anymore. Interesting that he decided to go with a cable. This is Johnny Hopper. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, keep WFO. Bra da 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 da.